Something that never ceases to amaze me is people who are surrounded by darkness, who have had a life filled by it, and yet still manage to shine and be the light. So I want to take a moment and honor the individuals and survivors from the Epstein files who have managed to overcome this darkness and continue to move forward and shine on the truth that so many of us did not see or did not want to see. While knowing all the perils, the darkness in the world, and the risk that this required, they did it anyways. Specifically, Annie Farmer, Courtney Wild, Lisa Phillips, Virginia Giuffre, Marina Lacerda, Sarah Ransome, and William Sascha Riley. The amount of resilience that takes, I don't think there's words for that. So all I can say is thank you to all of you who have spoken out, and to all of you who maybe are quiet but who are still enduring and carrying on. That being said, these parasites need to go, and I think a lot of people are feeling disempowered, whether it be because they're realizing how many of their neighbors are willing to turn away, which is supporting the abusers, because power is not equal, so neutrality just gives them more power, whether directly supporting it as well, or realizing how systematic this is. Quite frankly, us giving pedophiles and predators a pass, at least in the US, goes all the way back to Christopher Columbus. I think we need to learn from that, and the issue of presuming that something or someone just didn't know better, how that has allowed these parasites to remain this whole time. That being said, the discouragement you feel and the disempowerment, it's not real, okay? Yes, the darkness is real, but your lack of power is not. The predators in these files, the only way they get a sense of self-empowerment, they have none on their own, right? They do it by terrorizing and destroying others. If you think about it, someone who only gets a sense of power because they have no individual power through other means, such as terrifying others, would not hesitate to terrorize society unless they knew that we could hold them accountable, and we can. And one powerful thing that I have to say these pedophiles have been using while gaslighting us to not use it is international coalition, right? Of course, there's cultural differences between us, but some things remain the same. And I like to think most countries want to protect the innocent, the vulnerable, their children, and they don't want predators in power. Yes, there are differences between us that we need to respect, but I think that we have been gaslit into thinking the only way to respect someone's voice is by looking away and not giving those in less power in their own lands the opportunity to speak and ask for help to begin with, and just assume it's not your business. And while we have been gaslit to believe this, they have been preying on our children, our most loved, our most innocent. And we need to take our power back through our own international coalition. Quite frankly, I think now more than ever that's possible. Not only has, particularly the US, the Trump administration, has created a lack of unity and peace when it comes to them in other countries, there's also the very present danger that is the files and trafficking. The reality is the predators and people behind these files are still not known, a lot of them. So therefore, if we want change, we need their names unredacted. And pushing for other countries to push for that on an international scale, I think is a lot easier than it would be in the past. But again, there already isn't the sense of peace. There's current turmoil, and we have the means to work together. Combining people in the U.S. like the Women's March, minority movements, Indivisible, 50501, ACLU, with international organizations can create quite a push, especially if we combine this with consequences. As Bean Thinking, a YouTuber, shout out to her, pointed out, a lot of civil rights movements have been mischaracterized in history, so you think just a protest would do it. In reality, there needs to be consequences. Sometimes you gotta get nasty. In civil rights, there was the consequence of boycotting buses and taking away from that, amongst other things. I think the previous organization mentioned, working with places like More Perfect Union, who have learned the dark money behind these systems or behind the administration, and creating a list of those companies that we can pull from, and also alternatives, right? So this remains sustainable. would be smart, especially with numbers of how much money or how many people to pull from each company. Because one thing I've noticed is that when people just put a bunch of companies to boycott, you feel overwhelmed. If there's numbers and you get to see who's pulling from what, goals, that makes it feeling less overwhelming because you can pick and choose. So we do that, right? We combine this with shaming members who have allowed this to happen. When we say things like DOJ and Trump administration, I realize I've been doing that myself, it allows a generalization for individuals to hide behind. We need to name them, Alex Acosta, things like that. Members of the DOJ, Pam Bondi, yes, I know she's gone, but still. Individuals who are responsible for hiding the files. And that horrid redaction job. And then going carrying on it, where they go, and as legally as possible, ostracize them in their own societies. Minneapolis did a great job with this, with ICE. They had restaurants and hotels and all these different things boycotting ICE. We need to ostracize in the same way with these members and individuals who have been allowing these files to not be released and who have been allowing these systems to continue. Alex Acosta, my God. Him, Maxwell, and others need to be behind non-cushy bars. Companies held accountable as well. Lastly, I think we need to start putting spotlight on getting donation and aid from Hollywood. I don't think it's a coincidence that Chappell Roan got all this hate and all this mysterious negative publicity. As soon as she decides to step back from the talent agency, who she learned was involved or knew about the files, she did the right thing. More people need to do that. I have been disgusted with how many people who have gotten their power and popularity by pretending to care about feminism, about Black empowerment, civil rights, etc., about their nation in general. Okay, so where are they now that we learned that white supremacist pedophiles are everywhere? Now you want to be quiet? I don't think so. So I think we need to also start pressuring them to donate to these causes. Anyway, these are just my thoughts. Remember, I know things seem dark, but we are out here. And there is enough of us to create change, okay? Don't let the strength of the darkness make you forget the strength of the light. And again, to all my survivors out there, whether you're speaking out or not, thank you so much. Until next time, may you be safe, may you be loved, and may your spirit defy the odds. Oh, if you would like to support my art, social political commentary, thoughts in general, etc., please consider subscribing or even better, supporting my Patreon. I would like to do this more consistently, but we got loans to pay. Plus, I think it's time to try to create a community, at least in my own little corner, where I will have things like earlier releases, more videos behind the scenes and working on my art and music or whatever I'm working on, as well as when I'm indecisive, which is often because there's a lot going on, perhaps even voting on things like color palettes and different things I plan to do or different pieces I'm thinking about working on. I am in between pieces more often than I would like to admit. Okay. Have a good day.